Central. Well, good morning to you all. Welcome to this celebration of the life of Joan Silverman. Whether you shared in Joan's life as a beloved family member, a friend, a neighbor, a congregant here at USNH, or some other way, please know that you are welcome in this space, in this sanctuary, and please know that your time with her was meaningful, was special, and will live on as a blessing for as long as you remember Joan. May your memories of her life lift us all up today and in the times to come. When I met Joan over coffee and pastries back in 2022 to begin planning her memorial service, yes, she was a planner, she made me promise to tell you one thing when the time came, whenever that might be. She wanted you to know that she had every intention of being here with you today, but just could not find a thing to wear. Well, Joan, I want you to know that we are here for you, and we will hold a place of honor for you. What's more, just as you and I have invited Elijah and Miriam's spirits into the room at countless Passover Seders through the years, so we welcome your spirited memory into this gathering. And whatever you're wearing, I assure you it's perfect. Now, we don't have a cup of wine for you as we put out for Elijah and Miriam at Passover, but I have placed a cup of coffee and a pastry by our chalice for you. Unitarian Universalists begin services by lighting a chalice. Nyla Simon, Joan's granddaughter, will light our chalice this morning in Joan's memory. She is also going to light a yahrzeit candle. And with the lighting of the candle, we invoke words from Mira Mikiewicz. We light this chalice, which transforms wax into pure light and warmth, to remind us of our own living, transforming the stuff of this world into the love and activity of our daily lives. As we remember Joan Aronson Silverman, as we invoke her name, may today bring forth transformation in ourselves from grief, healing, from memory, wholeness, and from celebration, love. Our minister, Stephen Kendrick, will lead us in a responsive reading, which you will find number 720 in the gray hymnals in front of you.
To the family, let me add to Jesse's welcome and to all of you. It is an honor to come and stand here at this pulpit this morning. I met Joan when I first arrived, and I knew that she was already beginning to slip into the darkness. But that morning, we laughed as hard as I could ever remember, and she was so funny. And I knew that the essence of her was still very much present, and I am so grateful that I got to experience that, as you all did across the years. And as I was driving here this morning, I remembered an old story about a family gathered around their mother, Mirda. Hey, Mom, what will we do? And they talked. And they kind of talked above her and around her. And finally they said, very hesitantly, Mom, do you wish to be cremated or buried? And she said, "Surprise me." That is the very essence of Joan, her puckish sense of humor. I love that picture on the front. So nice. So let us surprise one another when you gather after this service and share memories and share food. Her presence is very much here. So, the one thing she didn't want was surprises in this service, and so I ask you now to turn in your gray hymnal, singing the Living Tradition, to responsive reading 720. We remember them. We have a tradition here at Unitarian Universalist Meeting House to talk about responsive reading, and so just respond in the words in italic. And we'll say the final words all together. 720, we remember them. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember them.
In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of the winter, we remember them.
In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them.
In the blueness of the sky and in the forest of summer, we remember them.
In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them.
In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them.
When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them.
When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them.
When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. So long as we live, they too shall live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them. May your name be praised.
She was a daughter to Perry and Minnie. She was a cousin to Miriam, Harriet, and Joni. Yup, 2 cousins with the same name. She was a niece to Regina, Al, Jack, Sadie, Sidney, and Morton, and so many others. She was a wife to Jerry. She was an ex-wife to Jerry. She was a support to Jerry and helped him when he was sick. She was a mother to Sue and me. She was a mother-in-law to Barry and Mark. She was Bubby, Bug, and the Bubster to her family. As a child, her own Bubby lived with her, and my mother wanted to carry forward that tradition and be a Bubby to her family. And she was a very proud Bubby to Marina, Nyla, and Karen, and to Zimmy the dog. She was a friend to so many of you here today, and many who are no longer here. She was a great cook, and a better baker, and an even better eater. She was a research librarian in New Haven and a branch manager at Stetson. She was a lobby lady at 707 Nix Avenue. She found her people here at USMH. She attended study groups and worked in the library and attended the In Stitches knitting group. She was all of these things, but those are just the outlines. My mother made home wherever she was and created a meaningful life for herself. For many years, that was in my life. With my father, Sue, and me. She encouraged and supported us, and always wanted for us what we wanted for ourselves. Our childhood summers were all about the beach. Each start of the summer, we heard the same thing. You aren't getting ice cream at the beach, it's too expensive, it's not good for you. Bring healthy snacks from home. After about 2 weeks of that, her parenting approach suddenly changed. She insisted we buy ice cream as long as we shared it with her, and we did. Our childhood was filled with traditions. Every last night of the school year, it was Dairy Queen and a picnic at Harper's Park. Every last day of summer before school started, it was Fred Shanty and back to Dairy Queen. Lots of ice cream. Sundays in the winter, eating in front of the fireplace. On Valentine's Day, she baked us a heart-shaped chocolate cake with pink frosting and milk chocolate hearts. She baked 1 million banana cakes in her life, and we ate all of them. My mom had many long-term friendships with the people in New London and the surrounding area, some of whom are here today. Later, home was West Haven, Middletown, and Hamden. No matter where she made her home, she connected with the people around her. She was an easy conversationalist and a supportive listener. Even in her last year, she was quite the presence at Cobalt Rehab. No matter where she lived, her house was filled with books and music and pictures of the sun, and lots of love. My mother grappled with diabetes, kidney disease, heart disease, and depression. Despite these challenges, she was always focused on her personal growth, her spiritual development, and she fought passionately to create a rich and full life for herself. Her defining battle was dependence versus independence. She spent her life searching for the right balance and struggled when there was too much of one and not enough of the other. She was raised in a time where women were supposed to be dependent on parents and then husbands. At age 50, she decided that wasn't for her, and she went back to school and earned a master's degree in library science and became a reference librarian, making a career out of her love of books. Her sense of humor was part of who she was. She found humor in everything and in nothing. She laughed generously, loudly, and often. I think she used humor to cope with things and to connect with people and to find some common good. She loved to talk to people anywhere, but especially at Stop and Shop. Man, did she love talking to people at Stop and Shop. Our family was everything to my mother. She was always interested and curious about our jobs and our lives and how we were feeling. More than anything, she loved watching her granddaughters grow up. From infants to toddlers, to teens, to the strong, thoughtful, and accomplished women they are today. My mother taught me to take care of myself, to be compassionate, and to be empathetic, and to be introspective, and most importantly, to follow my heart. She also gave me my wry, some may say sarcastic sense of humor. Mom, thank you for all that you gave to Sue and me. We love you, miss you.
Well, I get to come into the picture. In West Haven. So lucky. I thought about what I was going to read, and she certainly wanted this to be read, The Journey. And we all know about the poem Dash. And it's all about that middle. But for me, coming in, it was about food. Boy, did she try to impress me with food. Every time I would show up, there was an incredible spread of baked goods. And I thought about, she was always feeding me, but in the end, I was feeding her. And what happened in the middle was the journey. One day you finally knew what you had to do and began. Though the voices around you kept shouting their bad advice, the whole house began to tremble, and you felt the old tug at your ankles. "Mend my life," each voice cried. But you didn't stop. You knew what you had to do. Though the wind pried and its stiff fingers out of the very foundations, though their melancholy was terrible, it was already late enough and a wild night, and the road full of fallen branches and stones. But little by little, as you left your voices behind, the stars began to burn through the sheets of clouds. And there was a new voice which you slowly recognized as your own, and kept your company as you strode deeper and deeper into the world, determined to do the only thing that you could do, determined to save the only life you could save.
This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat the guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond.
One of the first things that I ever noticed about Joan was she was one of those rare people who actually had a twinkle in her eye. I had heard rumors of such people existing, but I always thought that if I met somebody who was an eye twinkler, I figured it would be someone like Santa Claus, Dizzy Gillespie, or perhaps Madeline L'Engle. Having never even come close to any of these fine people, I nevertheless recognized the twinkle in Joan's eye immediately. It was like she moved through life with the old Nicholas Brothers song as her theme. With a twinkle in my eye and a twinkle in my toe, most everybody passing by gives me the hello. That was Joan. And yes, that twinkle was infectious. It was inviting. It was hospitable. And it was just a little bit conspiratorial. And it never faded, even when she was good-naturedly groaning at one of the awful dad jokes that I would tell her as she faithfully arrived at USNH each Wednesday for the Library and Archives Committee. Joan was a member of this congregation from around 1998, somewhere around there. In 2006, she was invited to be a speaker at an annual service tradition in which USNH members answer the prompt, "What is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" That's all we had to ask. Joan began her speech to the gathered community by talking about how just after her 70th birthday, she made an appointment to see our then minister, Kathleen McTeague. "I want to know how Unitarian Universalists do memorial services," she asked. "It's about time to start planning mine." Kathleen, slightly surprised but ever pastoral, asked, "Well, Joan, are you ill?" "No," Joan replied, eyes twinkling, "I'm 70. She went on to say that by getting memorial service planning out of the way now, she could go on with her life without her death hanging over her like a cloud. That was just about 20 years ago. And you don't need me to tell you the twinkle in her eye never faded. Joan was born in Providence, Rhode Island, and recounted nostalgic memories of her early life in a neighborhood full of 3-story tenement houses. She remembered playing war with neighbor kids, mimicking the reality of the day, and patriotically participating in air raid drills, in which everyone closed windows and doors, pulling shades down tight while ducking and covering. She remembers feeling no fear. In fact, what she felt was a little bit miffed at her dad for not volunteering to be an air raid warden himself. Joan went to Brown University and got an English literature degree, which aligned with her love of the flow of language and of wordplay. Joan began to daydream as her college graduation approached, and whimsically concocted a fantasy plan that after graduation, she was going to rent a seedy apartment in Greenwich Village in New York, where she would spend all day drinking Chianti, smoking Turkish cigarettes, and writing poetry while sitting at the feet of Allen Ginsberg. She also had an alternative plan. If that didn't work out, perhaps she would sail down the Moon River in a gondola with, as she said, my near twin, Audrey Hepburn. Neither of those fantasies happened anywhere other than in Joan's imagination. But she did graduate, she got married, moved to New London, Connecticut, and had 2 children, Michael and Sue, which was a different kind of dream come true for her. She loved to talk about them, her grandchildren. Joan wasn't much for talking about her middle years. All she'd say is that her kids got her through them, and were her pride and joy. But it was also in that time that Joan began to discover a passion for social justice work. She was very active with the League of Women Voters and helped start an OSHA clinic established at the local hospital, excuse me, which focused on the health and safety of shipbuilders working at General Dynamics. She also worked on a model cities program in the 1970s. Excuse me, got a little tickle. From the comfort of her later years, Joan revealed that she had struggled with agoraphobia from college until she was into her 50s. Thank you. Excuse me for a second. Somehow, largely through the inspiration she found in her children's ever-widening lives, and perhaps through the connections that she made through her justice work. Bit by bit, she broke free from the prison of her own fears and began to branch out and unfurl what she later referred to as her second life. In this new life, her marriage ended, and she got a job at the New Haven Free Public Library, which she expressed a great love for. This was because, in her words, I was able to help people obtain information about things that were important to their lives. What could be better than that? In her 70s, Joan began to volunteer again, doing community care for elders. She helped the people, excuse me, she helped the people she was matched with to buy groceries. She did home visits, and even told a story about helping one Ugandan immigrant find an online daily edition of her home Swahili newspaper, which absolutely delighted her client, and Joan herself vicariously to no end. Joan was so proud and so over the moon in love with her 3 grandchildren, Morena, Nyla, and Darren. She would tell anyone within earshot, usually in the lobby of Mixed Avenue, about their latest adventures and how Michael and Mark, Susan and Barry kept the twinkle in her eye aglow with their loving attention to her needs. Joan was a consummate host, breaking out coffee, tea, some variation on cheese strudel for anyone who stopped by. She never lost her passion for justice work, even when getting out there became more difficult. She once commented that I may not be able to march shoulder to shoulder in protest against war or find the universal cure for racism, but what I can do is recognize someone who may not get many people smiling at them each day, and make sure to give them my biggest, brightest smile so that they know that they matter. That's the essence of who she was, and who she forever will be. Joan lives on as a twinkle in all of our eyes, and the heartfelt hug in our hearts as long as we hold her there. May it be so. We invite up the USNH choir.
Hey
all the lovely people here today gathered to remember our dear Bubby Joan. Just as Mike mentioned earlier, she came into your lives at different times, different locations, at various stages of her life. But despite the broad reach of Joan's relationships across time and space, all of us in the sanctuary today will have one absolute common memory, and a pretty glaring one: her laugh. Yes, exactly, that laugh. If you close your eyes for a moment, you can hear it. Hearty, spontaneous, uncontrollable, unique, unmistakable. If we gathered in this place today were to remember nothing else about her, grab onto the laugh, I think she'll be thrilled. 2 poems by Joan. The complexity of her character carried over into her writing. Titled, but not dated, Mother's Day. Hi, Mom, or rather, dear Mother. We haven't spoken in 45 years or more, but I think of you every day. I have not alphabetized the spices, laid out all the ingredients for the recipe, washed up as I could, or made my bed every day. But yesterday, I wore an apron. This one is dated but not titled. April 14th, 1997. Got a couple of bucks for me to grab a bus. I folded some money into his hand. I kissed his cheek and knew I had said goodbye. 3 months later, his picture smiled at me from the obituary page. He was only 38, left 4 daughters, a mother, and a sister. The bagel shop on Grove and what he meant to me was not mentioned. At some point, Mike asked her for the recipe to her famous taco lasagna. Well, it was Joan, and she couldn't lay her hands on the recipe straight away. But once she found it, she sent it off in the post. And being Joan, it wasn't just the recipe, there was some commentary that went along with it as well. It's a long note. I'm not going to read you the recipe, nor the nutritional contents, because you don't want to know. But if you're interested, there are copies in the community room, which you can pick up later and try for yourself. Don't tell your cardiologist that you did that. Undated. Hi, Mike. I'm enjoying a wonderful week off. Anything away from the monkey house at the zoo. Sunday, I took a nice trip to Essex and relaxed in a park overlooking the water. I listened to David Copperfield on my Walkman, and I knitted on Sue's Afghan. Afghan, not hound, blanket. And then her laughter, right? In reality, I should have been listening to A Tale of Two Cities, since I was reenacting the role of Madame Dufarge. Monday, I went to the northwest corner of the state, which has always intrigued me. It is rich and beautiful, mimicking, of course, my own attributes. It really was a lovely trip, up to Kent and Ridgefield. I even wandered into Catona, New York, due to a bad turn in the road. Yesterday, I babysat with a certain pumpkin of your knowing. She is adorable, as you know. She wept when I left. My ego is almost as large as my... Never mind. I am in the house going through stuff, and fortunately came across the recipe. Here goes. Don't think I didn't see you coming in, Joan. The service started an hour ago. We're gonna miss you. But what do you say we meet up at the chocolate brownie table in the other room, and we'll have one for the road. Bye, puppy. We love you.
I'm John Watson, a member here and a long-time proud friend of Joan's. I guess she chose Billy Collins. Hope you know him. Former poet laureate of the United States, and always praised as he and his poetry is accessible, which he doesn't particularly like. He used to say it made him sound like the handicapped on-ramp to poetry. Nevertheless, obituaries by Billy Collins. There are no pages for the young who are better off in one another's arms, nor for those who just need to know the price of gold or a hurricane that is ripping up the Keys. But eventually you may join the crowd who turn here first to see who is fallen in the night, who has left a shape of air walking in their place. Here is where the final cards are shown, the age, the cause, the lack of deeds, and sometimes an odd scrap of news. That she collected sugar bowls, that he played solitaire without any clothes. And all the survivors huddle at the end under the roof of a paragraph, as if they had sidestepped the flame of death. What better way to place a thin black frame around the things of the morning, the hand-painted cup, the hemispheres of a cut orange, the slant of sunlight on the table. And sometimes a most peculiar pair turns up, strange roommates lying there side by side upon the page. Arthur Godfrey next to Man Ray, Ken Kesey by the side of Dale Evans. It is enough to bring to mind an arc of death, not the couples of the animal kingdom, but rather pairs of men and women ascending the gangplank 2 by 2. Surgeon and model, balloonist and metalworker, an archaeologist and an authority on pain. Arm in arm, they get on board. Then join the others, leaning on the rails, all saved at last from the awful flood of life. So many of them every day there would have to be many barks, an armada to ferry the dead over the heavy waters that roll beyond the world. And many Noahs, too, bearded and fiercely browed, vigilant up there at every prow.
Joan Silverman was complex and fascinating, a badass in every sense of the word. She was the first woman in her family to go to college and graduate school. She served with the League of Women Voters, tutored refugees in the 70s, and was a literacy volunteer and an outspoken advocate. She pursued a fulfilling career, raised a family, and practiced lifelong resilience. Observing her life is a beautiful picture of a woman that is smart, accomplished, emotional, and complicated. She was a reminder that it is okay to struggle and to reinvent yourself, all while staying true at your core. Bubby was not afraid to take up space. She was bold with a bellowing laugh. She completed crossword puzzles in permanent ink. She sang songs loudly despite not knowing the lyrics. She stopped strangers in the supermarket to chat. She loved those around her fiercely, and she was messy, not only in the food that often donned her shirts, but in the way she wasn't afraid to rock the boat and to speak her mind. Whether we were visiting in an apartment, a hospital, or a nursing home, the sentiment was always the same. The people around her were touched by her irreverence and charm, which were often a much needed light in these settings. In all things she did, she shone bright. I see Bubby so much in all of us that came after her, or as I like to call us, the Silverwomen. I see her in our humor, in our contrarian disposition, in our chaos, and in our passion. So, in spirit of Joan Silverman, I want to leave you with this. Sing extra loud when you love a song, bake without an apron, talk to strangers, find humor in everything, stand up for what you believe in, and always tell those around you that you love them.
Friends, I invite us, as we begin to bring this service to a close, to rise in body or spirit and to sing twice through Joan's favorite hymn from this hymnal, number 123, Spirit of Life. Please rise in body or spirit. Would you please join me in reading the words that are in your order of service for passing the flame? Let's read together. Carry forth this chalice flame, its illumination into our daily lives, its sustaining warmth into our relationships, the light of reason shining beyond these walls. May we carry the fire of Joan's memory in our hearts this day and in the days to come. Please join family and friends all through these doors at the back of our sanctuary for a reception. Go in peace.